let in from the waiting room. So we'll wait just a minute or so until the waiting room gets emptied, and then we'll begin. All right, well, good evening again. My name is Randy Harrell, and I serve as the interim dean of students here at New College. And on behalf of all of us at New College, I'd like to welcome you to this Student Family Forum. Thank you for your participation, and thank you for being here tonight. We are going to be accepting questions in the chat box. So if you have questions, if you'd enter those into the chat box, we'll answer just as many as we can during this hour-long period. Our president, Dr. O'Shea, is away from campus this week, but we do have our provost, Dr. Barbara Feldman, and she will open up tonight's program with a brief opening statement, and then she'll be taking the questions and calling on appropriate individuals to answer those questions. I do want to say that I feel that we have remained very singularly focused as we have moved through the summer in making sure that we are doing everything we can. Our decisions are based on one factor, and that is, what are the decisions that are best for the safety of our students and the entire New College community. And with that opening, I'd like to welcome our provost, sociologist by trade, New Yorker by birth, our provost, Dr. Barbara Feldman.
Thank you, Randy. Yes, I'm a sociologist by training. I don't do too much sociology anymore. But I want to say hello and welcome everybody. It's so great to have you all here. And thank you so much for coming to this session. We're pleased to host it. We've had several of these, and we do them as we can and as people demand them. We want to share as much information as we have to all of you. The summer has gone by so fast. I was saying the other day, it feels like it's rushed by, and at the same time, the time has stood still. So it's disorienting, it's jarring, and like any year at a college, the faculty and the staff anxiously await the return of students. It centers us all and reminds us what it is that we do. The summer is always a little strange. This year in particular, we're looking forward to the students, whether they're in person or remotely. We need the students as much as they need us, and so this time to the end when we start getting ready for classes is really quite exciting, and I hope that you're all excited. I don't know how to say in words that maybe resonate with everybody, but students should, I hope that you all are still very excited about college and New College and coming back to school. Don't let anything, whether it be the virus or anything else, take that from you. I mean, there are things that we have to work around and things that we have to do differently and things that we have to adjust for. But that doesn't mean that it's a lesser experience. It's a different one. It's going to teach, besides the content that we teach, which we will not compromise in terms of how we prepare you, but you're going to learn a lot of things about life. And to the parents out there, you all know this, and I'm sure you tell your students this, but life's going to throw you curves, and things are not always going to be the way you want them to be and plan the way you want them to roll out. And you have to sort of rise to the occasion and say, this is what I got, and I'm going to do the best with it. And we're all working that way. New College takes that approach. We are not letting this virus compromise what it is that we want to give you all. And that's the case whether you're remote or on campus. But as Dean Harrell said, safety is our #1 concern. closely followed by education and the experience. But we're following science. You know, we're going to watch the data and watch the CDC, and we have a lot of people on this campus who are paying attention and discussing with local authorities what it is that's the very best thing for our community. And so we always know that even at any time, it is an honor for all of you to entrust your children with us and your students with us, and we take that very seriously at all times, and we do now as well. So that's really what I want to say at the moment, just to reassure you all of our level of commitment and seriousness. The faculty have been working unbelievably this summer, getting ready for remote and hybrid and a mix of course delivery. So we're not resting on any laurels here. So we could open it up to questions. Anybody has a question, please fill the chat box. And then I will be taking the questions, and what I'll try to do as they come in, I'll group them all. I'm not necessarily going to read every one if I can get, if there seems to be themes in the questions. So bear with me. So our first question is, students who live off campus test positive or have symptoms requiring isolation, will there be care available from campus health services like for those on campus? So that's the first question.
Yeah, let me, maybe I can help with that.
Yeah, well,
yeah. So thank you. Hey, anyway, welcome. We're glad you're here. And I wanted to thank everybody that sent in their results, because we're like overwhelmed with the emails, and it's awesome because we will have, so many of you are able to get the tests and do it. That's great. If you test positive and you're on campus, what is going to happen is we are, God help you, you've seen the emails from me this week. I'm trying to work with the USF people and get an app ready so that you can do a daily symptom screening. And that'll happen if you're on campus or coming to campus. If you're not coming to campus, you don't have to do the whole thing. But we've had a little confusion with the startup, and we aren't going to start the symptom checking till the 24th. That's as early as they're literally still writing the code for it at USF. But one of the reasons that we chose to go with this app is because it hooks up with USF Student Health Service, which is our contracted health service. So what will happen is, as soon as somebody tests positive, or if in their symptom checker they check one of the COVID symptoms, that automatically is going to trigger an email to the Student Health Service, and he has hired a number of care managers whose total assignment it is to reach out to you as well as other students and to find out how you're doing, what's going on, and just see how you are. So as soon as that happens, then if you say you have a symptom, that's going to trigger a telehealth appointment with our student health. That'll be Summer, our ARNP, and she's going to talk to you about what your symptoms might be. Is it COVID? Is it not? And if it looks at all like COVID, then we're going to immediately have you tested. And we're working out with a local lab firm to make those tests actually happen faster than 2 days. So we're really trying for that. I'm very hopeful, but I also know that this has been a very big moving target right now. So as soon as you are tested, you'll be moved into isolation. Some of this is getting worked out, because if you're in a single, we may not need to move you. We may be able to leave you where you are. We'll see how that all goes. Might depend on the ventilation, might depend on where you are, might depend on what might be best. But housing is going to be working with you, and Nicole and Dr. Steyer are going to be working with this. When a person is in isolation, they're going to be assigned a student health care manager, and that care manager is going to be sending you reminders when you're in isolation to see how you're doing and to just check in with you. Do you need some counseling help? Do you need some medical help? And we're kind of hoping a lot of you do already, choose to do that CVS or Walgreens delivery service, because then you could order up whatever you need from CVS or Walgreens, and they'll deliver it up to campus, and we can get it at the CWC and then get it over to your door. Food will be delivered to your door, and you would obviously be doing the remote instruction at that point.
And the question, and I'm sorry because I'm reading the question to be answered, but if people are living off campus, are they going to get the same kind of services if they're living on campus regarding people checking that?
They will still get the check-in, but they aren't going to get the concierge service because we aren't delivering food or housing or medicine off campus.
Okay.
But if they're on campus, they will be getting that service.
Okay.
But they'll still be getting checked in with by student health if you're symptomatic.
So one of the questions, and I'll take this one about whether or not changing from remote classes to in-person classes, students can do that, right? As long as you stay in touch with your professor. So if you are starting out in person and for some reason, you feel like you're not comfortable and you want to go remote, that's fine. You'll be able to switch. Just let your faculty member know, and the other way around. So please don't worry about that, and feel comfortable where that's concerned. Faculty are working very closely with students, and for students who have been watching, I've been sending you lists of whether classes are being taught remotely in a hybrid fashion or face-to-face. Those keep checking, because those may be changing too, because just as all of you keep assessing and reassessing what your plans are, faculty are doing the same regarding being in person. So check that. Remember, please, that even classes that we say are face-to-face, there are remote seats in. So don't think that if something's listed on the face-to-face list that you can't take it if you're remote. You absolutely can. It's just that those will also have opportunities for in-person students. There will be reduced number of students in classrooms because we have to lower the capacity. And so not everybody who's wants to be in person will necessarily get an opportunity to do that in a particular class. And then the other academic question I saw at that moment was about advisors getting in touch with students. This is the same as it is every summer. So advisors tend to get in touch with students after the first week in August. It's when they come back from their summers doing their research and their prep. So you will be hearing from your advisors very shortly. Then there was question, and I'm going to take these together. One is, will people be able to receive visitors on campus? And what's the protocol for students leaving campus and coming back on campus? And how will they be monitored or checked? And will they be allowed to do that?
So I think I will take that. As far as visitors to campus, if you have parents who want to come visit you, they can come visit you on campus. We're not going to have off-campus visitors coming into the residence halls this year. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to make arrangements. They can call you as they're coming to campus, and you can meet with them, enjoy their company, enjoy a meal together on campus, outdoors, in an open space, or in the Ham Center, where we have our dining area spread out in a safe social distancing format. But we're not going to allow people from off campus into the residence halls this year to try to minimize any viral introduction. There was a kind of a corollary question about what about, there's a reference in one of the facts about people can visit one another in the common space. And in that, what we're talking about is that students can visit one another in common areas, but we're really going to limit the number of students who can go to another student's room. Common space, yes, as long as you employ social distancing, you're going to be asked very, very specifically. You're going to be asked to wear a mask at all times, to maintain social distancing at all times. The way that we're going to combat this virus is all of us working together. If we all take a corporate responsibility, we're gonna handle this well. Going off campus, we understand that you are 18 to 22 years old, and that you're social beings, and that you're going to want to socialize with other students and others. Again, we want to stress, please safeguard your health and the health of others. And so we're gonna do social programming in a safe manner on campus. And if you decide to go off campus, we ask that you do so carefully. So for those of you who are new to campus, you may not know, but I'm a rookie at New College. I've only been at the college since October. One of the things that struck me immediately about New College is the level of concern that our students have for one another. And so we just ask that you maintain that level of concern and realize that when you're encountering people off campus or in Publix or wherever you go, that they may look fine, but they may be carrying the virus. And so wear masks, maintain social distancing, and just make wise decisions that are responsible for the entire community.
So thank you. And so there's a number of questions in there about how do we keep people safe, and will students bring the virus back home, and those kind of concerns, and and how are we going to enforce that people don't gather? We can't monitor everybody's behavior all the time. It just wouldn't be a reasonable expectation. And as Dean Harrell said, we're a small community. As New College is small, we all know each other more than at any other campus in the SUS. We all are connected to many other people on campus. We need people to act responsibly. We need people to take care of each other, and we all know what that means. Whether wearing a mask and staying socially distant, and reporting if you have symptoms. We know that people are asymptomatic, which is why you really, even if you don't feel sick, you have to be wearing a mask and stay socially distant. So I can't tell you that we're going to chase people down and scope them before they come back on campus. It's not going to be like that. But we're adults, and I know that there's a lot of young people out there that are behaving irresponsibly. We believe in our students at New College, and are trusting that they are going to act responsibly, and we are going to all, as a community, do the best that we can. And for those of you who are not comfortable, we're not making anybody come who doesn't feel comfortable at this time to come, or has to go home, or feels like they have people at home that they can't go home to. So, but we will be doing, to that point, testing. And there's a couple of questions. One about, will people be tested if we have to go remote and students are in the dorms, will they be tested then? And somebody said that they didn't get cleared even though they got tested. But can you talk a little bit about what the testing protocols will be and how often we're going to do that?
Yeah, well, everybody's we're doing tested now. There's some confusion because the USF, when people did the original USF assessment for return to campus, their students have to upload a COVID test, and they blocked it for us, but then they decided they would send them an email later. So I've hopefully removed all of that. I hope they're working on that now to remove it all. So the thing about clearance right now is for you all to get tested and send the results to the wellness@ncf.edu. Okay, that's the part that's going to do it. The USF site is not anything to do with New College student clearance to come back. Once classes start, we're going to be testing 10% of the total population every week and seeing where that goes, so that we'll be able to see, just sort of spot check. The other thing is, and what we're really going to have to count on, because we aren't going to be, testing only counts a point in time. So I don't want to just rely on the testing as a thing. We want to talk about mask wearing and social distancing and the appropriate community behaviors, because that's really where it's going to go. It's not going to go on how many tests we give. It's going to go on how people are interacting with each other and how we might best do this. I'm truly hopeful that we'll be able to get eventually to a vaccine here, and that people will be able to go back to normal. So we're really right now talking about fall. We just have to get through fall doing the behavioral things that we're really trying to get people to do, and all of us doing them as best we can. I know people aren't perfect, but we can really try. We're going to do the 10% testing though.
So yeah, and as far as the masks, we will be giving out masks. People will get masks. You can bring your own. We're going to have them all over. We'll have cleaning supplies all over. People will be wiping things down, and we ask that everybody who comes in and out of classes, you wipe your station when you sit down, you wipe your station when you come out. Somebody is suggesting, and I'm sorry if anyone feels that I'm somehow setting up students to blame if there's an outbreak. It's not that at all. There is no blame here on anybody's part. It is a reassurance that we are all in this together. We were all going to take care of each other the very best that we can, and and faculty, students, everybody alike. So it's not about whose fault it is. It is really about the fact that we live as a community. We take care of each other, and mostly at New College, we always think in terms of taking care of each other. So it's really it was just a comment on the fact that we all are going to be looking out for one another. I also wanted to address, that seems to be, I don't know if people aren't clear, that you can do this completely remotely. You can take classes completely remotely and not come to campus. Yes, all of the classes are like that. Somebody asked about the spring. We haven't even gotten to spring yet. But if we need to do it for spring, we will do it for spring. We are committed to delivering this education the very best, safe way we can. I hope you all believe that that's the case.
Dr. Feldman, could I add to that? I saw a question about orientation,
Yes.
and if you're off campus taking all of your classes remotely and you want to avail yourself of new student orientation, we very much want you to be involved in orientation as a remote student, and you have an option to participate in orientation fully as a remote student in a remote fashion. So you contact the orientation office, and they will sign up for orientation, and they will get you'll actually be in a group that is led by someone who is just working with remote students, and you'll be in a group of other remote students to welcome you. We also realize that we have a number of students who are not necessarily traditional age, and so remote is a real positive option for them. Although you are eligible to live on campus as well. I'm friends with a student who came in as a new student in the spring. She is closer to my age than a traditional student. She and I were talking just in the last week, and she was talking about some of her health challenges, and she has opted to take all of her classes remotely, but was concerned because some of her classes are highly participatory art classes. Contacted her advisor, and her advisor let her know that they have flipped all of her classes, so the classes that she'll be taking in the fall are delivered, are classes that are appropriate for remote delivery, and they're going to make the decision on what classes she'll take in the spring based on is the makeup of the virus, whether we have a vaccination or not. Such that she can make the decision to be an on-campus student. So,
related, there's a question about what kind of orientation there is for parents, and how will you make that experience possible?
And so there's actually going to be an ongoing. There are benefits that come from major challenges, and one of the benefits that we're going to be seeing this year is an implementation of a program for parents that will be ongoing. So while you won't be able to have the immediate getting to know Dr. Feldman and President O'Shea that would happen during a traditional year, there will be seminars that will be delivered to you in this kind of fashion and in asynchronous fashion for you to have an orientation experience as parents. Thank you for that question.
There's also a question about clubs and activities.
We're going to do them all. We're going to have movie nights, theme-oriented movie nights with discussions afterwards. We're going to, clubs have already begun to get trained on how to build social networking in a virtual manner. There'll be some activities on campus that clubs will sponsor, but they'll all be, those face-to-face activities will all be delivered in a safe manner. in groups of 10 or less, where social distancing is always employed. So the vast majority of social experiences that'll be held during the fall semester will be in a remote fashion. And we think that we've gotten a pretty good handle on how to build a sense of community in a virtual manner.
Yeah, and related to that as well, everything that we have to offer students when they're on campus will be available remotely. And by that, I mean the Career Center. Students will be meeting with career counselors as they always do, and they will be available to them remotely. And there will be some people in the office, but those things will be happening remotely. The Student Success Center will be available to students remotely. The Health Center will be available to students. The tutors, peer tutors, and so forth. All of those will be available. So it will be a like experience in the way that we can offer it. Let's see, and okay, so someone's saying, will the clubs be available remotely? And yes, I mean, we will do that remotely. Living learning communities as well. I don't know what that question, if that question is suggesting, will people be able to have some kind of a remote living learning community experience as well?
Actually, Nicole, could you address living learning communities? And it may be Nicole Gelford.
All right, I'm unmuted.
There you go.
So yes, we are still having living learning communities, and our hope is that, you know, despite the limitations we have, we can find more ways to purposefully connect and engage. And so our LLCs will be supported by Canvas. RAs will help create content there and time and space for you all to connect virtually through Zoom, through other activities, movie nights, discussion groups, book clubs. It's really going to be student-led to hear what you need and want right now in the sense of what's going to work best for you all. So no, we are eager and ready to make these vibrant experiences virtually.
Thank you. About class delivery, there's a couple questions there about class delivery. So there are many, many ways to deliver remote classes. And so our learning, as our students know, our learning management platform is Canvas, and that will be the basic mode of using Canvas. Some remote classes, yeah, they may be synchronous, meaning that everybody's taking it at the same time. Some may be asynchronous. Students will be able to ask questions in various ways, and faculty will be posting videos and have open hours to talk and so forth. So I think the students are going to be pleasantly surprised at how inventive the faculty are and how far along the study of remote pedagogy has come from when it was first introduced. So there's a lot of different ways to offer classes and a lot of research about learning outcomes and how you make sure that students are learning and are getting what they need. So this is not a fly-by-night. This is something that's been around for quite some time, and we're very confident in our abilities to offer it. And there isn't a class, and I say this to you as a provost, there isn't a class that you will not be able to take remotely. Even the classes that you think are the most, I have to do them in person kinds of classes, they aren't necessarily. Someone mentioned painting. Our painting classes will be able to be offered remotely. Our language courses, our labs, our, we're talking to the professors in theater, there will be ways to do this. And in some ways, they will emulate what the in-class experience is like. But the truth is that when you're teaching remotely, it's not about trying to replicate what you would have in the classroom, but doing it remotely. It is about doing it in a remote way that speaks to learning outcomes and the methodologies that are teaching. So there's just a lot of opportunities out there. So I want to assure people that will be the case. And I discourage students from taking time off or waiting till next semester. And I'm thinking that many of you here are not doing that since you're here, because as people keep asking in the chat, what about the spring, and will courses be available remote in the spring? Again, we have not talked about the spring yet. We're concentrating on the fall. But if it's what we need to do, it's what we will do, and we will continually refine the way that we do it. And so waiting until the spring may not be a good answer if people, if the spring is not any better than the fall is for many people. So please know that we are working hard to give you a really great experience. Florida, single complete their senior year, this is why spring. Yeah, like I said, faculty will be meeting with students. Your students will have a good experience with their faculty. How many students are registered for the fall? And I saw another question about how many are in person. You know, we're still getting students coming in. We're anticipating about 700 students this fall. How many of those are remote and how many in person? It's a sliding number. If I tell you today what it is, it will probably be different tomorrow because people are changing their minds. But I would say at this point, it's probably 60-40, 60 in person, 40 remote. So many of those are living on campus and some of them are not. So, but that is constantly changing. So I would encourage the students to keep checking and see what's available. Is the return to campus assessment is mandatory? And if so, where do I find it? Is the return to campus assessment? So I guess that's about whether or not you have to be assessed to come back to campus for the virus, I think.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of confusion about that. What I can please ask all of you is to set up your USF Net ID through that initial email, and then just sit for now, because we're going to be starting the stuff up. You can do an initial assessment, but it's not going to really go anywhere, and there won't be the app ready to roll out to you until classes start. So what we're hoping is you set up the Net ID and you sometime do that initial assessment, but then really nothing much is going to happen. That's really just setting things up so that we can so they can contact you and we can track that assessment as the term starts.
Okay. Also, there were a couple questions. Firstly, there was a question about consequences for students who don't follow guidelines. People have to wear masks inside and outside. The only time you don't have to wear a mask is when you're sort of alone in your room. So this will be enforced. The question is, you know, what happens if I can tell you that in a classroom where we have reduced the number of people to be socially distant appropriately, everyone will be wearing masks. If a student comes in not wearing a mask, they will be asked to leave or to put a mask on. If they refuse, then the class will be dismissed and will be offered and will be delivered remotely. And anywhere else that students are not managing the rules that we set up and that students are agreeing to obey by virtue of coming to campus, they will be corrected, their behavior will be corrected, and hopefully they will correct it. If not, there will ultimately, people will be asked to leave campus. We will not risk anybody's health because somebody is not behaving. Will it be enforced by the police? Yes, ultimately the police are here to enforce. We're not talking about that and going there in terms of a threat to students, but yes, we will do what we have to do to keep students safe. Absolutely, that is the case. Somebody's asking about, again, about the spring and offering classes because of housing and so forth. Here's my pledge to you. If you're asking for a pledge, my pledge to you is to deliver your students their education in a way that allows them to keep continuing to progress and to graduate. What that looks like, I can't tell you now, just like I couldn't have told you 6 months ago what we would be saying to you today. But this is our commitment to the students. So if you're worried about your student, where would they live if they don't have full housing and they're going to come back in the spring, nobody is going to be denied an opportunity to get their education in the spring. this is what I'm promising. And at some point, if anybody wants to talk individually to me or to Dean Harrell or to Mark Steyer and regarding housing or any of this, we're more than happy to do that. So there is a mask ordinance in Sarasota that people have to wear masks. And so that answer to that question. What else? What else are people seeing in terms of questions? Because I was answering questions.
Dr. Feldman, if I can just add to the enforcement issues. So I've been fortunate enough to be meeting on a weekly basis with a group of students who volunteered to be an advisory committee to the college as we prepare for the opening. And it's 14 students who are tremendously invested in the success of the school. And we had a really just a really engaging conversation this past Saturday night as we were strategizing ways to really internalize concern for one another, a culture of concern and community care. And the students said, you know, we're gonna take care of each other. We're gonna make sure that our peers aren't doing things that are inappropriate. But what about the off-campus people? What about the people who don't belong here? And so we are putting signage up throughout the campus, and that's where, you know, there are questions about police, but that's where police will be a little bit more visible, is assisting off-campus individuals who are just walking through campus to enjoy the bay, who may think that, well, it's my right to not wear a mask. They're going to assist us in helping those visitors who don't really have direct reason to be on campus understand that there is a responsibility that they bear as visitors to comport themselves in a way that is compatible with the community standards of New College, and that is to be safe.
Our places like our library, which are normally open to the public, and we actually serve the public as a state institution, our library will be closed only to New College students and to University of Sarasota, South Florida, Sarasota Manatee campus, which is adjacent. We serve them as well. So the library will be locked, and people will be let in as they show that they are a member of our community, that they have a mask on, that the number of people doesn't exceed, which it won't because the students know how large our library is, that it doesn't exceed the number of people there. So the campus is not really open to the public. So we will be watching out for that and keeping students closer.
And if I can, so mask wearing is not a police issue, okay? Mask wearing by campus members, by New College members, students, faculty, staff, is the responsibility of staff, faculty, and students. If a student is not wearing a mask and they're walking around campus, the old man here, Randy, and his team are going to be the ones who will walk up to an individual, to a student, and say, "Hi, you know, I'm wearing a mask, and I've got a sealed baggie here with masks in them. Will you please take a mask and put it on? Will you please take a mask and put it on now? Because we all care about your health, and we want." So that those interactions are going to be staff to student, faculty to student, maybe student to staff. Randy, you forgot to pull your mask up as you walked out of your building. So this is not a police state. And me saying the police will assist us with an off-campus person, and I don't want to go into, but so I've encountered people in the community who aren't wearing masks and think that it's their right. Well, we may have to have somebody's help in helping a visitor understand that it's not their right to exercise that right on our campus.
Yeah, our police on campus are here for keeping our students safe. That's what they always do, and that's what they will continue to do in this case as well. We're not here to punish students and arrest them and give them fines. We're here to protect them and to teach them, and that's what we'll do. Somebody's asking questions about meals, and particularly sort of gluten-free options or vegetarian options. But how, Randy, maybe you could talk a little bit how the meals will be provided under the circumstances.
Sure. So if you're a returning student, the Ham Center is set up differently than it has been in the past. For if you're a new student, welcome to the Ham Center. The dining portion of the Ham Center is expanded down into the lounge area that was on the south side of that of the dining area previously. So we've stretched the tables throughout the main dining area and lounge area of the building. We've limited the number of chairs that are around tables in order to facilitate social distancing. We've doubled the amount of tables outside for students to eat at in open air settings. When you go into the service area of the Ham Center to pick up your food, there'll be limitations on how many students are allowed into the service area at a time, so that we can keep safe distance. All meals will be served in protective containers. Most meals you're going to be able to pick up and carry out without having to wait for it to be served up. In the past, buffets have been set up. Salad bars have been set up so students could make their own. Now, all meals that are plated at request will be plated and then put into the protective containers. All METS employees will have to go through a serious check of how they are upon arriving to work. They'll have temperature taken. They'll have to respond to a series of questions before they clock in. And then once they clock in, they'll be gowned, they'll be masked, they'll be their head covering, and they will receive regular breaks in order to be able to get away from the service area and cool off. Students, of course, will be encouraged, allowed to take any meal back to their room. And so it's a different setup, it's a different system, but it's one that maximizes safety and service.
Okay, thank you. And someone's asking about the deadline for submitting student COVID testing for the fall.
Yeah, there isn't a deadline, but you cannot come to campus till you give us one. So I suppose the deadline would be the start of classes.
Okay. And what happens if somebody comes to campus and does not have a test result, or had not taken a test?
Oh,
And they're moving
please,
in.
I know, please take your test. If they have not, if we have some internationals who may not be able to take a test, and we're going to arrange for them to get tests. If we have a few students who have not taken them, we will arrange to have that happen. The student will have to go into quarantine and not be able to interact with anyone until they get the result back. So what will kind of happen is the person will be really limiting what they can do at the start of the term. As you're getting here, I know people are going to want to interact, and it's really just going to cause you more headache, I think. So it might be really try to get on. If you have trouble, email wellness@ncf.edu, and we have 3 folks who have been working with people, and everybody they've worked with has gotten a test, and we've all got the results almost back. So, and actually most of them have already gotten their results back. So just give us a call and we'll help you out. We can also do a variety of things to help you. And I know that, Alex, our CWC rep, talked about LabCorp Pixel that does mail outs. We can do mail outs. So there's a whole variety of things that you can do to be sure that you get a test. Just email us and we'll help you.
Great. So people are asking about, at what point would the campus close to go remote, and what is the process of doing that? We'll talk about that. I also want to just point out, I hope everybody saw that we've adjusted our calendar, the academic calendar this fall, to encourage people to stay on campus and not go home on the weekends or not go other places on the weekends. And so we've eliminated the fall break. We usually have a week off in the middle of the semester between mods. We've eliminated that. We have a 3-day weekend, that weekend in the middle of October. We encourage students to stay on campus. There will be things to do on campus, but we wanted to give people a break of a day. And then we will teach until Thanksgiving. We'll be classes and be open until Thanksgiving. And after that, students can go home and not come back. We don't necessarily want students to, feel like they have to go home and then come back and go home and come back and be bringing back and forth whatever it is that they might pick up. And so everything you do in your classes after Thanksgiving will be remote, final exams, final projects, and so forth. But the residence halls will be open. They will stay open. And so you can stay through Thanksgiving, and there will be meals and all sorts of things over Thanksgiving. And up until the end of the semester, people can live and stay on campus. And so we just wanted to make sure that we had as many options for people to be able to stay on campus and not go home if they want. In terms of the closing, so New College has a plan for opening and for closing, and that plan is available on the website. We have a COVID site, and so anything any of that information you want is available. We are being very transparent and open with everything that we know and everything that we can possibly share with all of you. We have rooms available that are being held for quarantine, and I'm going to let Randy talk about that more. So we can accommodate a certain amount of students who test positive and make sure that they're quarantined and separate. When we get to a point where it exceeds that ability, and the amount will be seen when we know when we will get there. People will have the warning that that's the case, and students classes will go remote, and students will be able to continue to stay on campus. So again, it's very hard to pinpoint exactly the number that launches us to close, except to say that there's an ongoing group of people that are meeting constantly and assessing. But Randy, do you want to talk about, unless you did while I was reading comments, about what kind of quarantine availabilities we have for people who are waiting for tests or so forth?
Yes, I will. Let me address first. You said when campus closes, or if campus closes. If the eventuality takes place where we are no longer offering in-person classes, which is what I consider campus closing, the residence halls will remain open. So if you move into the residence halls, you can remain in the residence halls until the end of final exams. Now there's a caveat to that, probably two. One of them is a severe weather situation that I do not wish to mention, because if I do, then we'll get one. But one just went north, east and north of us recently. And then the other is an order by a governmental agency. So if we were ordered by the health department to clear, if we were ordered by FEMA to clear, then we would have to clear, and we would make provision for those students who remained on campus. But in the event of a radical upswing of COVID, and we have 6 students on campus, they will be able to remain on campus through the end of the semester until they're well. And international students, I mean, we're opening by mandate from the state. It is not a local decision to open, and we will remain open unless some higher authority tells us otherwise. The other part that you may have thought I was ducking is that we have 20 rooms prepared as isolation rooms, and in having those rooms prepared, it means that they are ready for students, a single student to occupy that room. They will have linens, so bed linens, towels, sheets, pillows, and then we will have meals delivered to the rooms while the student is in isolation.
Thank you. Someone was asking about the closing of the Board of Governors. So the Board of Governors, it's true, has sort of decided that the entire state university system is open. In terms of closing, however, those are local campus decisions. Now, that's not to say that the Board of Governors won't decide one day you're all, not one day, but you're all going to have to shut down. That's possible, but we don't need their permission when we feel that the campus needs to be closed. And when I say closed, I don't mean closed. I'm using that word, but we're never actually closed. But when we have to go to a remote, complete remote delivery, that's our decision to make because what our campus needs and what UCF would have to have or USF very, very different. So just like opening plans are specific to campuses, we've all devised our own for our campuses. So too are closing plans. What are the closing plans? Someone's saying they're not on campus. They're not posted. And how will we be able to give people more warning? Well, just like everybody else, we were all caught off guard in the spring. It was all we could do to sort of move as quickly as we could to keep people safely. We're not going to be caught off guard this time, so that people will see what's coming, and we will know. And of course, if you see what's coming and you feel like you need to go home and switch to remote classes, you can do that as well. But we will have time, like everything else that we're doing this time, to communicate more and better and earlier about what's going on. The word in some of the questions keep coming up, how do you guarantee things? We can't guarantee anything. We are doing everything that we know to keep everybody as safe as possible under all conditions, following the science, the CDC, and what we know to be true. That is what we are doing. But that's all that we can do, and that's what we are committed to telling all of you that we're going to do. Something about returning students coming back to campus. When are those days? And what's the
so let me hit both groups. So new students are moving in on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. That's of August. So that's wow, that's less than 2 weeks. New students, 14th, 15th, and 16th, and returning students. We are strongly encouraging returning students to return on the 17th, 18th, or 19th. That'll get you in the residence halls prior to the beginning of mini classes, and the provost can talk about mini classes if she wishes. If you're not able to get here until the 20th or the 20th or the 20th or the 21st, you can move in during that time. But new students, it's important to come in the 14th, 15th, or 16th because that will get you here before orientation starts. Returning students, 17th, 18th, and 19th. If you go on to the university or the college's website and go to campus life and then residential life, you can see some facts for residence life, and you can actually, in one of the frequently asked questions is just that, what are move-in dates? And you can actually go online and reserve a time during one of those days to move in. Nicole, did I cover everything, or do you want to? Okay, she gave me a thumbs up.
She just posted the link to the
Thanks, Nicole. Thank you.
Someone asked about mini classes. Can we discuss them? So for the students, I don't. This is always awkward when you don't know exactly who it is that you're speaking to. So I don't know how many new students we have here and how many returning students. So returning students all know what mini classes are, but if there's new students out there, we have 2 days where students can sort of sample or shop classes. So faculty give 15-minute sort of overviews of what their classes are and what they'll be like, and students can decide whether they want to take them or not, and then be able to meet with their advisors afterward and discuss them. So it's a unique aspect of a new college experience, and one that students really enjoy, faculty do as well. This year, we will be doing mini classes, but they will all be remote. Because what happens, and again, to the students who have been through mini classes before, sometimes, certain classes get crowded with, 30 people and people sitting on the floor and listening to a faculty member, and people have 10 minutes to move around between classes and it gets crowded. We will have none of that. So all classes will be remote. Many classes will be remote. Many of them will be pre-recorded. We're encouraging faculty to pre-record them so that for students, you can go watch them at your own convenience. We've always sort of struggled with the issue, and students know this, about mini classes being up against each other, scheduled against each other, and do I go to this one or do I go to that one? So this is actually a thing that I think is going to enhance the mini class experience, and probably something that we will continue to do even after we're post-COVID. That is to have faculty record their mini classes. So most of them will be recorded ahead of time. Some of them will be live, remotely live, but even those that are offered live will be recorded. And so if you can't go to that live session, you can watch it remotely. And then faculty will be available for questions and answers to their mini class session. So it will be orderly and safe the way that we do that. Okay, this is the second question. I saw something about people asking, if they signed up for orientation, they're not sure if they're signed up, or how can they check to make sure that they're signed up? Is that a question somebody wants to take?
And I was looking for an answer. I am not, okay, here's a confession from the old man. I am not the most technologically proficient, but I think maybe Sonia Wu might be able to answer that question, who is our guru of all things new students.
Hi, if you would please email admissions@ncf.edu. We can check to see if you've signed up. It's also very important. Very recently, they just opened up the payment gateway for the orientation payment. It's important to sign up, pay, and participate. So make sure you do all three of those things. So if you think you did sign up and you're wondering, did we really get it? Go ahead and email the admissions@ncf.edu and we can check for you.
Thank you.
Here's a question. This is one of my favorite questions of the night about do all first-year students enroll in the Set Sail course? And I only say that because we're all so excited about the Set Sail program. Originally, we were going to have a launch party in the spring before COVID hit, and I very cleverly called it Set Sail. But we never had a chance to have the party. But nonetheless, the program goes on. We're really very excited about it. So what Set Sail is a set of first-year sort of seminar classes or first-year experience courses that first-year students are strongly encouraged to enroll in, to take one. They don't all have to, but we encourage them all to. So those of you who maybe have decided not to, if I haven't said it, we encourage you to sign up for one. They're great courses because not only do they help you transition to college, they help you transition to New College, which has, those of you who are upper class students can say, there's unique things about learning one's way. And so they do that. They also provide information about study skills and study tips. They have activities that build community among the students in the class so that you'll make connections with other first-year students. And there's also a peer mentor that's associated with every Set Sail class. And so there will be an upper class person who also works with the students in those classes. So if you go to the Set Sail website, which somebody's going to post where that is in a second, I know, the courses are really, really amazing and fun courses. They are content-driven courses that have these other experiences built in, but really amazing classes. It's the second year that we're doing this. We did a pilot last year and students loved it, faculty loved it, peer students loved it. So we're really very excited about that, and take it if you haven't signed up for it.
I've seen a couple of questions, and I'm only glancing every once in a while, but I've seen a couple of questions asking about how many students do we expect to be living on campus? And at this point, it's looking like we're going to have about 450 students in residence this fall. It could be a little lower, could be a little bit higher, anyway, around 450 students in residence.
Talk about hybrid courses. What will they look like? And again, there's not a formula. Like anybody knows who goes to New College, faculties teach in their unique ways and the ways that they know to deliver their classes. So, but the sort of the definition of what we mean by hybrid is that some of the class sections will be in person and several will be only remote, generally about a 50-50 split. So there may be a case where the class, let's say there's in person 10 people in the class. And the class meets twice a week. It may be that 5 meet one of those days in person, the other 5 the second day in person. Everybody else is doing it remotely. Or it could be that the students who are on campus will be doing some 50% of their classes in person, but the remote students are a part of that, all along. So we're trying to offer as many different ways of delivering material as we possibly can that accommodate students. So, but again, and I think I've said this several times, but I want to impress upon this. Our eyes are on our remote students. I know that people are not used to this, and people are not used to it at New College. New College is the only college in the entire state university system that had no remote courses before COVID hit. The only class that went 100% remote in a very short period of time, as you know. So people are not accustomed to New College doing remote classes, and so this is all kind of strange and feels a little weird. But you all know what kind of education we provide to all of you. And you all know the commitment of our faculty to all of you to give you experiences that are tailored to what you're interested in, to explore the areas that you want to explore. This distant remote delivery will not change that. That is our core value. That is at core of who we are. We're defined by who we are and what our relationship between our faculty and students are, not the modality in which it's delivered. If we had our druthers, of course we want to be in the rooms with all of you and see you in person. We absolutely do, and we can't wait until we can again. But this kind of, we've all sort of spent a lot of time now on Zoom and doing these kind of communications, and I believe and I hope that you hear the passion and enthusiasm that we all have for your students, even through this Zoom messaging. This can happen between faculty and students as well, because it's there, because it's genuine, because it's authentic. So, so it will be okay, and faculty will work with students where there's struggle. We also have provided for students who have shown the need laptops when they need it, to make sure that people have the technology that we need. Nobody's going to be left behind. We will not leave anybody behind. We will be with all of you as we always are, and anybody who needs any kind of help can reach out to anybody, to me, to Randy, to CDSW, Ann Fisher, to Nicole Guthrie. Every single one of us on campus is here to help you. So there won't be a shortage of that. And that goes to parents as well, too. We are here for you as well. You know, many of us, several of us on this Zoom call are parents and have sent our kids to college, and we know, and you are part of our community as well. And short of violating any kind of confidentiality rules, we will talk to you. We want to talk to you. We want you to be comfortable as well. It's important to us. I think we're at the 8 o'clock hour, and Dean Harold promised a sort of closing remarks from me. I think those were them. You know, our door is open. You know, we love all of you, and we want to be back together in person, but we're going to be back together one way or another, even if it's remote. We can't wait to see you. I hope you're excited. So anybody has more questions and we haven't gotten to them, again, we have an email set up, covid19@ncf.edu. You can write questions there that are related to any of your concerns regarding COVID, and we will answer those there. And short of that, questions you have, well, even if you put them in there, they'll get passed to whoever it is. But if they're not COVID related, you can reach out to the departments if that's what you if you want to do. But some of us get questions that aren't ours. We pass them on to those of us who will answer them. So you will get an answer. So we want everybody to stay safe as you always do and as you've been doing, and enjoy the last couple of weeks of not being in school, and come ready for an amazing learning experience and educational experience. But thank you all for taking the time and spending the hour with us.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.